2012 is here and the mission is simple. Let's make it a healthy new year. But have no fear because we've got some help for you, and we've brought in an expert who will give us some very simple tips to improve our health. Dr. Jennifer Caudle is here. She's an assistant professor in the Department of Family Medicine at the University of Medicine and Dentistry of New Jersey, UMDNJ, School of Osteopathic Medicine. And she's also a board-certified family physician. Dr. Caudle is here, and we're going to walk over and have a conversation with you. Doctor, welcome to the program. Thank you so much for coming in to straighten us out, because when it comes to our health, this is something we cannot take for granted. You agree with that?
Absolutely, absolutely. Our health is of utmost importance.
Yeah, and you know, this doesn't have to be brain surgery, isn't that right? I mean, it can be some simple things that we can do, that we can begin to take control of, that can make a real difference.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, we want to talk about that. We
Sure.
want to talk about how people, because you know we all go through this every day. Oh, I'm going to do better at this. I'm going to do better at that. Or I'm going to stop doing this. I'm going to start doing this. On and on. Every year, it's the same thing over and over and over again. So you've helped us, and to your benefit, we've compiled a list of the do's and a list of the don'ts. We're going to start with the do's, things that we should be doing in this new year. We'll put them up, and then you'll go through each one with us.
Sounds great.
To help break it down for us. And again, these are some pretty simple ideas. Okay, here's the first one.
Okay.
Find a doctor that you are comfortable with.
Absolutely.
How important is that? Because this is a relationship.
This is absolutely a relationship. And you were talking about the new year and things that we're doing for the new year. This is the perfect time to find a doctor that you're comfortable with. I think a lot of times people still go to doctors maybe they're not comfortable with or they're not crazy about. I say if you don't like your doctor, get rid of them.
Yeah.
Find someone else.
And if it's an HMO doctor or if it's a family physician around the corner, you have to develop a rapport with them. Isn't that right? I mean, because they see a lot of patients, and the onus is on you to make sure that they understand what you're dealing with. Well,
and as a physician, one of the best ways that we can help our patients is to really understand what's going on with them. And the way we get that information oftentimes is by patients feeling comfortable. I often think of a relationship with your family doctor as intimate as a relationship with a family member or a loved one. So you really should be comfortable.
And what do you see most? Do you find that in a lot of cases, as you talk to colleagues and as you have these experiences yourself, that it's the doctor who's the one probing and asking all the questions, or do you get real feedback and inquisitive people asking you questions so that it makes your job easier?
Well, I get both. Every patient's very different, and sometimes I do most of the question asking. Either way, I always am asking questions with my patients, but then we get some patients that really have a lot of questions about their health too, and that's important. I think the biggest thing is if you're not sure, you're not crazy about your doctor, ask around. I often describe it as, when you move to a new city and you're looking to get a haircut or something like that, what do? You ask your friends, you ask your family. So ask someone near you and say, who's your doctor? What do you like about them? What do you think?
Yeah, and if you're concerned about your medical records and so forth, all of that stuff can easily be transferred.
Absolutely. You can get that forwarded. You can request it yourself, or you can fill out a release to have your doctor's office request that as well. So that should be pretty simple.
Don't be intimidated by the whole doctor consultation and so forth.
No.
Take control over it. Talk to your doctor.
And find someone you like.
Find
Absolutely.
someone you like. Now, that's really key. Important. All right, let's go to the next one, and let's talk about this next thing, the things that we should be doing. And this is so critically important, and that is get routine preventive exams. Don't wait until something is broke or you're hurting. Go and get something done before it happens, right?
Absolutely. We often think that checkups are just for kids. Checkups are not just for children. As a child, you remember going to the doctor and getting your height and weight measured and getting your shots. Actually, the same thing needs to exist for us adults. You should go to the doctor at least once a year when nothing is wrong. As you said, nothing is broke. You don't have back pain. You don't have a cold. You don't have an issue you want to discuss. You're going in because you're perfectly healthy and you want to talk about your preventative care.
Now let's talk about the expense of that, because, a lot of people may say that, okay, I'd love to be able to do that. One, I really don't have the time just to go in there if nothing is wrong. I don't really like the doctor's office anyway because it creeps me out or whatever. There's sick people and there's needles and stuff that I don't like. And I've got to pay the copay. There's just going to be monies associated with this. This is something I really can't afford to do. You'd say, what to that?
You can't afford not to do it. Preventive care is exactly that. It's the idea of preventing other things from happening down the line. So as adults getting our preventive checkups, we should be checking our blood pressure, making sure that you don't have high blood pressure or the early stages, checking your cholesterol. Remember, adults need vaccines and immunizations too. So vaccines can keep you healthy down the line. And don't forget about your screenings, cancer screenings in particular. There's pap smears and mammograms and colon cancer screenings and prostate exams. The idea of the preventive visit is to prevent you from having problems down the line and to keep you healthy.
Yeah, and I will say, and I've talked to a lot of men about this, you really have to do this. I try to make an example of it myself. I usually will try and get an exam around the time of my birthday because that's a good reminder for me.
Absolutely.
And it's not always fun. You know, prostate exams aren't fun, guys. But the idea is that this stuff has to be done.
Right. And that's bringing back to number one. This is why you want a doctor you're comfortable with, because it will be a lot easier if you're going in to see someone that you're saying, okay, well, I'm not crazy about getting the exam I have to get done, but I like my doctor. But it'll be okay.
I wonder how many lives have been saved through preventive maintenance like that, just by going in and then, oops, you find out something that you had no idea existed, but you caught it early, and as a result of catching it early before it had blown up and it was a big deal, it made all the difference. Because a lot of these things can be corrected, right?
Many things can, and you mentioned the idea of catching things early. That's the point. If you have early stages of high blood pressure, we want to catch that before you have full-blown high blood pressure. We want to catch that before you've had it for 10 years without treatment. So that's certainly the idea here.
Okay, preventative exams. Go even when you think nothing is wrong. Just let them check you out. Just go and say hi and build that rapport. Let's move on to the next one.
Sure.
I love this one, and everybody out there is going to say there's just no way that this can happen. Get more sleep. My goodness, are there enough hours in the day to get everything done that we're trying to get done?
Sometimes it seems like they're not. I mean, it's something that I have to think about all the time. I don't know about you. You're a very busy person, and sleep is so important, though. And I think oftentimes that's the one thing that we'll sacrifice for other things. We say, oh, I'll just sleep less.
We throw that away, don't we?
We
say, oh, I'll go to bed whenever. I've got to finish this, or I've got to do that, and then I've got to get up early in the morning. What does that do, though, the lack of real rest? What does that do to the body?
Well, first of all, it's important to remember that sleep is a biological necessity. It is not optional, okay? Sleep is absolutely mandatory. There's a number of things that can happen when we don't get enough sleep. Adults should be sleeping about 7 to 9 hours per night. And the younger you are, the more sleep actually that you need. So infants and newborns needing multiple hours of sleep at night. But the thing is, there's a lot of negative consequences. Studies have shown that people who don't get enough sleep, they don't concentrate as well. They're not thinking properly. There are workplace accidents. Motor vehicle accidents have been linked to poor sleep or inappropriate sleep. You probably, I don't know if you've ever run across somebody who hasn't gotten enough sleep the night before, but people get irritable. They get moody. They get a little cranky. Exactly.
Good morning. What do you mean by that?
Right.
Good morning.
Good morning. It's not a good morning for me.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I'm just saying hi. But what happens to the body? Because we develop this clock inside, and people, and as you listen to this, you know it to be true, will begin to wake up at the same time without an alarm clock. We begin to get sleepy at the same parts of the day. It can happen in the middle of the afternoon, a certain time of night that after 8, 9, 10 o'clock, whatever that time is, people hit the wall. But the body kind of sends us those messages, doesn't it?
Absolutely. The body's amazing. And this is actually one of the ways it's so amazing. The body tells us when we should be going to sleep and when we should be getting up. It's really a natural rhythmic cycle. And interestingly enough as well, if we don't get enough sleep, we actually develop something called a sleep debt, which means even though you're not thinking about the sleep that you missed out on, your body hasn't forgotten. And it remembers those lost hours. So it's really important.
I'm glad you said that, because I hear this all the time. People say, oh, I don't even need it. I get 4 hours a night and I'm good.
Right.
Because, again, their body is telling them, okay, well, you're used to waking up at this time, so I'm going to wake you up at this time. But that's that sleep debt, just kind of building and building, isn't it? It
does build up, and it doesn't, it can go away. You can recover that sleep, but you have to work at it. And it's really important to keep in mind, you need sleep. Your body needs sleep, and optimal functioning really requires it as well.
Like I said, these are simple things, but they're very important and things that we don't want you to take for granted, particularly this next one, and we hear it all the time. We're going to tell you again so that it stays right there. You've got to get out and work it out, folks. You've got to get some exercise.
You do. You do. And it's not just for your waistline. People think about exercising so they can get a little trimmer, and that's good. Don't get me wrong. But there are other reasons to exercise and work out, too. I mean, heart health and bone health, strong bones and a healthy heart. That's really important. And, I think you were mentioning at the beginning of the show that this is the time for our New Year's resolutions. And I think everybody starts with these gung-ho ideas.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to get in the gym. I'm going to work out
every day
more.
Of the week.
Yeah,
every day
and
of
it
the week.
lasts for a day or two, or maybe a week,
maybe
and
a
then
week.
they're done with that.
Right.
So you really want to make this a lifestyle change rather than a quick fix.
You do, and I recommend to my patients, I say, look, start small, okay? If you've never been to a gym before, if you really haven't had an exercise sort of routine, this is not the time to say, I'm going to be in the gym every day of the week. Start small, baby steps.
But Dr. Jen, here's another thing, though.
Sure.
How can we build into that exercise bank? Some people will say, well, I'm on my feet all day. I have to do a lot of walking when I'm at work. I'm just walking down the corridor. I'd take the steps instead of doing this or doing that. You don't necessarily have to be in the gym for an hour lifting weights or on the treadmill to get in that exercise for the day, do you?
Absolutely, you don't. And you brought up some really good suggestions. I always tell patients, park far away from the store.
That's
from your
my
work.
number one.
Walk. Just walk. Okay, walk further than you actually need to. That will give you a few extra steps. You mentioned the stairs. I mean, forgo the elevator, especially if you can. Other things that you can do is just work out or do things in groups. I find that people are often more motivated when they have other people around helping them out. So do that. And get your kids out.
Yeah.
This is huge because so many children today are obese. I see children in my office as well as adolescents and adults. This needs to be a family thing.
Sure.
Families as a whole need to be getting active.
Yeah. Can I tell you one of my new pet peeves, and that is crowded parking lots. It's always a mad scramble to try and find a spot somewhere close. I don't even bother anymore.
Do you?
I park as far away as I can, and then I say, I'm going to get the exercise, and I'm not going to worry about trying to get right in front of the store.
Absolutely.
That's just me.
You're getting your exercise. That's good.
Yeah, I'm trying. Okay, and here's the last one on our do list, and this is about your hygiene, folks, and more than just your hygiene. It's about washing your hands. How simple is that, and how important is that, Dr.
Absolutely.
Caudle?
Well, it's wintertime, and germs and bugs and bacteria are just flying around. And, it's interesting. This week in the office, I've seen more sick visits than I've seen well visits or preventive visits. People are coming in because they've got colds.
Yeah.
They've got coughs. They've got the sniffles.
And without even knowing it, they cough or sneeze. They put their hands up, and if they don't cleanse their hands, and then you're greeting someone, you extend that hand to shake it. Now, we are carrying these hand sanitizers more and more. You're seeing more of that.
Yes.
But is that enough?
Well, it can be enough. Okay, hand sanitizers can be good. I would say your first line is soap and water. Good old soap and water is really what you need. You want to wash your hands with soap, lather up your hands really good. You want to wash for about 20 seconds, okay? So you can count, you can sing a song, whatever you need to do to get through that 20 seconds and make sure you're drying on a clean towel. Now, if you don't have that, if you don't have soap and running water, you can use the hand sanitizers. You just want to make sure that the active ingredient, which is alcohol, that there's at least 60% alcohol in them.
Yeah, and again, simple stuff, but when you're in the bathroom, not even if you're forget about the bathroom. Let's just say that you were working with something in your office or on your job, whatever the case may be, and afterwards your hands are going to have the residue of that on. Just go wash your hands.
You want to wash your hands.
All right, so those are some good do's. But just as important as the things we ought to stop doing. Isn't that right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. This is the new year, so it's time to make some good changes. And along with exercise and all the things we've talked about, some people talk about their bad habits, things they want to quit. And I'd say probably at the top of that list, one of the things I hear patients say is they want to quit smoking.
Yeah.
That is a habit that, we can work on.
Yeah, and so what we're talking about here, let's go to the list. Don't overindulge in your bad habits. And then everybody's got them. I mean, nobody's perfect here. No one's exempt. We've all got bad habits. Smoking might be chief among them for many people because nicotine consumption in this country has been for a very long time a very big problem. And so, again, we talk about smoking, maybe drinking. It may be whatever the case.
Absolutely. Yeah. Most things, I think, in moderation, certainly. But if it comes to too much alcohol consumption, smoking, and you want to quit, I absolutely advise you quit and speak with your doctor because there's a lot of great options out there.
But, Doc, This is one where people will definitely say this is easier said than done, because you're talking about an addiction in many cases. And for some people who have the will, then they can do it, and they say, look, it was a turnkey for me. I just stopped cold turkey. Others need all kinds of help and assistance. And that's okay, right? As long as they're trying to get that help.
Well, and that's what I try to tell my patients is don't get discouraged. Studies show that people often have to try multiple times before they're able to quit. And you're right, nicotine is an addiction. The good thing is that there are a number of treatment options available that range from medications to behavioral therapies and things like that. So this is really where you want to involve your doctor if you're not able to quit cold turkey.
Yeah, you know what else? We talked about alcohol consumption. It's particularly in excess. Certainly there may be people who drink casually and on the weekends or whatever. But, there are also a lot of recreational drug users who may say, oh, I work in corporate America. I'm not some addict out there, on the corner, but I do engage in my drugs, when I'm at home or doing this or doing that. Again, try to cut that out.
Stay away. Absolutely. The old slogan, say no to drugs, is something I still live by, and I recommend for my patients. Marijuana to other drugs. It's just not a good idea for your health, for your mind, for your body. And a lot of these drugs have major consequences that people don't think about, and you really should. So just say no. Stay away.
Yeah, and again, how many times have you heard this? It's not that we're breaking any new ground here. No. It's not even the point.
But it's good to be reminded.
Yeah. We're just trying to keep this on your radar screen. So as you go forward. The next one is important too. And let's go to the next one on the list here. And that is, do not ignore what types or how much food you eat.
Absolutely.
Let's talk about that, Doc.
Let's talk. So this is my parents and I were out to dinner. It's about a year ago. We went to a restaurant and I ordered like a Cobb salad or something. And I'll never forget, the salad came out and the plate was literally this big. And the salad was a big mountain. I mean, it was literally almost as high as my eye level.
Wow.
I not only shared it with my parents, but I ate it myself, and I ate on it for the next 3 days.
Wow.
Which really brought to light this idea that a lot of times when we're going out to eat, we are getting more food than we actually need in one sitting.
We can break that down to portion control,
We
can't
have to. We absolutely have to. You don't have to clean your plate. You don't have to finish everything that's on your plate. Save some of it.
And won't the body begin to know when it's full, when it's had enough? It
Absolutely.
will let you know.
Especially if we eat slowly. Sometimes when we eat quickly, our body can't catch up and can't tell us that we're full. So if you're eating slowly at a nice pace, sure, your body will tell you.
That's how much. But also, we need to be paying attention to what types of foods we're eating. There's a lot of fried foods out there, a lot of stuff with trans fats in it. All of those things. We need to be reading more labels and need to be watching the content that's going into how something was cooked.
Reading labels is so important. When you go to the grocery store, if you're going out to eat, even when you go through drive-thrus, many fast food restaurants have their nutritional information on pamphlets that you can take home. Take a look at the calories that you're consuming. Add up the serving sizes and figure out exactly what you're taking in. You might be surprised just how many calories are in some of your favorite foods.
Yeah.
And on the other side, everybody requires different nutrition. So you can speak to a nutritionist or your doctor about how many calories you actually should be taking in.
And not only that, to know if you're getting the vitamin supplements in the types of foods that you're eating. Because if you're not taking some type of vitamin, maybe that should have been on the list, huh? Take some type of vitamin supplement to help you with your food intake, right?
Vitamins can help, but I tell you, first and foremost, you have to eat a diversified diet. It means you just can't eat fast food every day. You really have to have your grains and your vegetables and your fruits. And it's hard because some of our most convenient foods are maybe not the most diverse in terms of nutritional value.
The good stuff is always so bad for us, isn't it?
It's true. It's true.
It's like, oh, but I love this so much. I just know it's so bad for me. Let's move to this next one. Again, here's another one of those no-brainers, but particularly in these days and times, folks, you cannot engage in unprotected sex out there. Again, the studies are out there. Everything that we've been hearing about for years is still real and exists, right?
Absolutely. Unprotected sex is like playing with fire. I'll just put it out like that. It simply is. There's so many things risks that go along with unprotected sex. Not only unwanted pregnancies, but there's STD risks as well.
Yeah. Do you think the kids are getting this message? Because we hear this all the time, all across America, that younger and younger they are now, and they're engaging in the sex games where they don't even think it's real sex. It's just something that they do, and particularly oral sex for like middle schoolers.
Right.
And that type of thing.
Right.
But again, we've got to get the word out to them that this is a bad idea.
Right. And parents, you need to talk to your kids about this. And adults, we need to be talking to each other. I always say this to, my adults who are out in the world, maybe in a sexual relationship with someone. First of all, don't assume about your partner. Don't ever assume anything. Make sure you're discussing these issues. Some of my patients say, Dr. Caudle, it's so hard to talk about. But you can't afford not to talk about it. Know your status, get tested, and use condoms. Be safe.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah. And don't be afraid to put that out there and to talk about it. That's why we're having this.
You have to talk about it.
And this next one, it's the last one. Well, it's not the last one. It's next to the last. And that is, don't overexpose yourself to extreme weather. This is winter now. Make sure that you're buckled up when you go outside, right?
Absolutely. And today is not a really good example of that. It's nice and warm today outside, but as Philadelphia goes, we know that wintertime gets really cold. And frostbite in particular can be a concern when the temperatures drop extremely.
And you don't want to expose your body. Same thing in the summertime. We go out and we overexpose ourselves to the sun. We know that the sun rays can be harmful to our skin.
Absolutely. And remember that serious medical damage can happen by both. Frostbite, for example, is the act of the skin actually freezing. Requires medical attention. So you really need to be wearing hats and gloves and dry socks and waterproof boots and stuff. And in the summertime, you want to make sure you have sunscreen.
Very quickly, is it true that they say, you know what, you can't catch a cold by not wearing a hat? That doesn't happen like that. Does that happen like that very quickly?
Well, let me put it this way. Certainly being cold and being exposed to the elements can make you at risk for getting the flu or the cold.
All right. Now, this very last one is probably my favorite of all of them because this is the most simple thing that you can do, I think, and that is don't worry, be happy. How important is that simple thing? It's
so important, but isn't it sometimes so much easier said than done?
Yeah.
Sometimes it's really hard, but I think I really love this sort of last point because our mindset and our state of mind really influences almost every part of our life.
It weighs down on you when you're carrying around with you all of that negativity and all of that stress. And stress is a real enemy to the body, isn't it?
It really can be. And let's be honest, today, in this day and age, there's lots of stressors, right? The economy, the economic state, and unemployment. There might be life stressors in your family. People might be dealing with things. So sometimes it can be hard to keep that positive outlook. But absolutely, keeping a positive outlook is key to really guiding your life. And there's a number of ways to do that.
Like what?
Well, we talked about some of them, okay? Well, actually, let me tell you the first one. I think it's most important. It's important to have good people around you, okay? Surround yourself with people who love and care about you, people who are good for you. If you're going through a rough time, you got to talk about it.
Sure.
And share it with people that you trust and that you really care for.
Right, don't carry that burden all by yourself.
Don't care about yourself.
What else? You know what else is good? What's the best medicine? Laughter.
Laughter is the best medicine.
Hey, have a laugh. Lighten up, folks. Look, it's not that serious. You're going to be all right. Get over it. Share a laugh and enjoy your life. Hey, Dr. Caudle, thank you so much for being here. Simple things that we can carry with us to have a healthy new year, and you make it really easy the way you break it all down. And let's just hope that people were taking notes and that they're paying attention.
Absolutely.
That's because that's all we can do. It's your life. You've got to live it. We can only give you some guidelines and some simple little tips that we'll follow too. I'm Art Fennell. As always, we thank you for being there, and we hope to see you again next time on The Report.